Animatronic Retrospective. Hello and welcome. My name is Raya, and welcome to another episode of Animatronic Retrospective, the show where we delve into obscure stories of animatronics from our past. Oh, it's a web series that I host, and this is another episode. This video's topic was inevitable because of a mistake I made in my very first episode. In the very first episode of Animatronic Retrospective, that makes me shudder that people still watch it due to the ever-changing and evolving knowledge we have on Captain Andy's River Town review, I say something foolish. I know, me? Foolish. It's hard to believe. Yes, I'm talking about Edward D. Hilbert, the man who lives rent-free in my brain. For some reason. I think it's partially like his name is silly enough that I'm never going to forget it. And I know way too much about this guy. Alright? Edward D. Hilbert. In the video, we track down his defunct website where we get confirmation that Edward D. Hilbert did make animatronics for pizza restaurants in the 80s, though these restaurants are left unnamed. This painting of his, a dog playing the fiddle, and circumstantial evidence led me to believe his company, Unique Designs Incorporated, may have had early and axed influence on Captain Andy's River Town review, mainly in the initial pitch designs before moving to animated show productions, aka Applied Entertainment Systems, aka Animated Entertainment Systems, aka Sequoia's creative team. This is unconfirmed. I have no proof. Oh, what a fool. So it's back to this painting where this video begins, because the silly dog playing the violin depicted may have a very, very likely descendant, and it's not Rivertown. So join me on an adventure in 720p when the content you watch is always looking like this or like this. You don't need HD. Animatronic Retrospective. Animatronic Retrospective. Alright, let's get into it. Part 1. The rundown. It's the creature I live with in my house. Well, every time I film, she wants to go out. She wants to come back in. She wants to go out. She wants to eat my cords. She wants to eat my microphone. There's a good chunk taken out of my microphone because of her. I love her so much. The rundown. Every time I record this section in these episodes, I feel like a broken record. In 1977, Nolan Bushnell pushed the ingenious concept of Pizza Time Theater, a robotic show, arcade, and restaurant all in one, featuring colorful... Featuring what? Featuring colorful characters. Candy, no. No. Why do I live with such rude people who don't know how to be quiet when I'm filming? Be quiet. She's cute. It's fine. In 1977, Nolan Bushnell pushed the ingenious concept of Pizza Time Theater, a robotic show, arcade, and restaurant all in one, featuring colorful characters we all recognize today. Then literally hundreds of copycats popped up, giving me endless content. That's why this show will never end. This show will never end. This is just what the episode's gonna be like. Anyway, it's already amazing how many of these family entertainment centers actually existed, and even more so that each one had its own unique animatronic show, and even more so when you consider that some of these locations were locally owned. And I'm not talking about franchisees, I'm talking about people making their own restaurant with their own animatronic shows, locally created. We'll get to you one day. Everyone in the 80s was convinced that this business model was the way to make money. It wasn't. This is not the way to make money. But that's not the point. The point is we are used to these animatronic shows and its cartoon characters being the main focus of the chain. These branded chains all needed marketable, polished characters to give the dinner theater arcade an identity that separated it from all of the others. This means that smaller business owners and their locally owned establishments wouldn't really have a reason to make their animatronic characters, their cartoon mascots, a center of their brand. They weren't planning multiple locations or tons of merchandise or character ads or cartoons, or to get local kids hooked on their animatronic characters the way larger companies target children. Okay, it sounds kind of weird when I say it like that, but it's true. You get it. You get what I'm trying to say. Oh, the local dinner theater arcade would still have their animatronic show and their little cartoon characters, because that is what the big boys were doing at the time. Every family-centric business in the 1980s needed a cartoon mascot, and our establishment today had just that. Our story starts in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. I forgot to make a map. Hold on a second. I only have 2 colors over here. I have black and I have red. You want to hear the ASMR sounds? Should I draw a little closer to the mic? That's the sound of Lake Erie. All right, I made the map. The map of Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is in the United States. You can see my failed Pennsylvania on this side. It didn't look right, so I redrew it. Here it is. Wait. Pennsylvania. Drexel Hill? I used to live over here. Okay. In Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, there was a bowling alley arcade called State Lanes. It closed, but State Lanes closing was actually only the beginning. It was bought up by a man named Phil Canavo. Canavo? I'm going to say Canavo. So usually I would put like a business name with the businessman, because the bigger franchises have a company running them, because there's usually multiple stores, like the Wayland's company running Captain Andy's River Town. The reason why there's no company name is because Phil was a local businessman who ran this business. I don't think he had a company name, and I couldn't find any company name. I'm pretty sure it's just him. And maybe a business partner. There's no company name to attach to him other than the name of his establishment, which was called Circus Towne Pizza Theater. I just felt like he would be naked up there if I didn't put something. The bowling alley I mentioned was already an arcade, but Phil took it a step further, bringing Drexel Hill its very own family entertainment center. The bowling alley lanes were taken out and replaced with a dinner theater. The arcade kept its cabinets, added mini rides, and a fun house that children referred to as the maze. Reading through the children-turned-adults' recollections of the maze is so funny. You know, you're crawling on the floor, you're going through the tubes, you run into other kids and you're getting lost. They just felt so alive. It's alive! These memories are very fun to read and paint the type of establishment Phil had created. He described the place as being more of a mini amusement park than a dinner theater. Circus Towne Pizza Theater was open, locally owned, and one of its kind. But it had something else besides arcade machines and pizza. It had a stage. Not just for local performances, oh no. It had a stage featuring Circus Towne Pizza Animatronics. Animatronics? Animatronics? And this is where the video gets a little tricky. I did reach out to multiple people who were involved in the operations of Circus Towne Pizza to pretty disappointing results, if I'm being honest. I got nothing. So as we get into this section, I'm going to be so real with you, and my answer is, I don't know. The world of forgotten animatronics and their lost media is a huge part of this this whole, like, what we're doing here. So I hope you like also not knowing for certain things. Ooh, it's so mysterious. And who knows, this video may be outdated by tomorrow with how tenacious the community is at finding information in audio and video and disco. In the article about the opening for Circus Towne Pizza, they talk about the animatronic show, describing it as mini-shows staged by animated Disney-like figures. But then the article adds, there's also a circus tent with animated animals. Weirdly written, right? To say like, oh, there's an animated Disney-like show, and there's also an animated animal show. I don't know if this is referring to the known animatronics or not. Were there more? Did they not know how to fill out the article and they just mention them again without actually mentioning anything about them? I don't know. That's when we get into the creation of the animatronics. Who made the animatronics? Well, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. But I did mention the rent-free man in my brain, didn't I? Oh yeah. I'm talking about Edward D. Hilbert. Welcome back to Animatronic Retrospective, Edward. He's not getting his own section this time, but he is the most mentioned man in all my videos for some reason. You know, I could be mentioning literally any legend. Edward D. Hilbert's not exactly that. Most people don't know who this guy is. So I mentioned Edward D. Hilbert of Unique Designs Incorporated at the beginning of the video because I think he made the animatronics. I think his company directly made these animatronics. And I know it's not mentioned anywhere. That's because he doesn't mention any of the animatronics he's ever made except for the Chicken Little Trio. And even finding that was a big hassle. Over a year ago, couldn't find anything about it. Now we have so much information on the Chicken Little Trio, and it's fantastic. I made a post about it, and you should go read it, because Edward D. Hilbert has some great insight of the show that he's created. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Circus Towne Pizza Theater. Right. The Circus Towne Pizza Theater animatronics. Unique Designs, run by Edward D. Hilbert, is my most likely guess of who created the Circus Towne Pizza animatronics. And I'm about to give you my evidence. The reason would be the animatronics' eyes. This is kind of what was convincing me. So I'm gonna lay this out for you, and you can tell me what you think. First, looking at Unique Designs' known animatronics. Unique Designs makes their animatronics' eyes massive. What? Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? These huge ice blue eyes, which aren't unique enough to support a case. When comparing them to Circus Towne, I couldn't find any that really 100% made it for me. Where I was looking at them and I'm like, these had to be designed by Edward D. Hilbert. Because usually when you're looking at animatronics, you can really see the company behind them. And Unique Designs is a bit more difficult because we just don't have that many known shows by them. So I looked a little closer. I tried to find something that was unique to Unique Design animatronics, something I'd never seen in another company's show. It was when I was watching a video of the Wildlife Trio, a band that Unique Designs made for Bedrock Park in the late 1980s, that I did see something unique. The characters have 2 iris colors around the pupils instead of 1. You see, it has the dark blue and then it has the light blue on the outside. It's an interesting eyeball. I've never really seen anything like that before. I made a little chart about it, a little diagram it. Why didn't I color this in? Okay, give me a second. So the only color I have over here is red. So it's fine. It's fine. This is gonna take me forever. This is a huge mistake. Unique Designs' first animatronic show was in 1980 with the Chicken Little Trio, and it does not feature the 2 colored irises, but the later show made for Bedrock it did. Circus Towne Pizza's show was made in 1983, so I thought maybe Circus Towne Pizza's show may have this double iris, and if it did, that would be, I think, a pretty unique design. You see? The 2 irises. And then the pupil. We got a chart now. Unfortunately, the picture qualities suck. Obviously, these have been digitized and the quality is quite bad. What do you think? 1 or 2 irises? I don't know. 1 or 2? I don't know. But then I look at the one picture of the fire dog. See it? See it? Doesn't it look like 2 brown irises instead of 1? Do you see it? It's such bad quality, but like, do you see it? It looks like 2. I could make out the black pupil and the dark brown band and then an obvious light brown band. I might be insane. And then I was looking at this picture of Gunther, like, do you see it? It looks like a bright blue band, and then a dark blue band, and then a pupil. That's what it looks like to me, but the picture quality is so bad, I can't really prove it, so I don't know. I am so normal and calm about this. Yeah, Unique Designs, maybe. There must be a really good source that will know where these animatronics are from. I'm talking about Phil. What did the owner of Circus Towne Pizza Theater have to say about the origins of the animatronics? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Phil himself doesn't seem to remember anything about the animatronics' origin or the company that made them. It was over 50 years ago. It's likely he just doesn't remember. The animatronics weren't really a forefront of the company. He clearly was focused on other things. In fact, everyone seemed to be focused on other things, and that's fine. That's completely normal, actually. Animatronics were not Phil's priority because he may simply be normal. That is possible. Yes. So anyway, these two irises, right?
Lady, let me elucidate here. Everybody wants to be a cat.
There are so many circus-themed animatronic shows that I've kind of been trying to really space them out, really not do them all together, but I like animatronic shows that have circus themes. I've already done 3 after this video, and there's so many left I haven't done. Circus Playhouse Band, there's Piccadilly Circus Pizza, Circus Time Pizza, Circus World Pizza, Sergeant Sinner's Spectacular Star-Studded Circus Pizza Show, The Three Rainers. Does Captain Carnival count? He is a clown, but it's more of a pirate theme than a circus theme. But he is a clown. I guess clowns can be separated from the circus. Clowns can be in other formats. Oh yeah, and Circus Towne Pizza. I can't blame the oversaturation of circus themes because it's colorful and fun and full of motifs that people are still familiar with in the modern day, despite the lack of modern circuses. About Circus Towne's animated show, we don't know much. I wish there was more I could say. What can I say? Aside from some great pictures of the band that have resurfaced within the last year, we only have customers' recollection of what the show was like. But I at least have visuals, which is more than I can say from some axed animatronic retrospective episodes. Sometimes you can't even find a picture. We do know that the band had a total of 9 animated characters. The section is going to be rough. Let's start. The first animatronic that I can name is Gunther, the Ringmaster Cat. As you can tell from his podium on center stage, Gunther was the main character and leader of the performance. He unfortunately didn't look anything like a cat. In my humble opinion, he looks like a giant rat. Comparing him to his official art, these are 2 different characters. It makes me wonder what came first, the art or the animatronic. It's definitely the snout. Cats don't have, snouts. His movements look limited to a head turn and his arms, which feature an elbow joint and a microphone. Gunther was featured on limited merchandise of Circus Towne, as well as being featured on the outside of the restaurant. The next character we're going to do is this little guy here. We're going to call him Unnamed Ringmaster Mouse. I hope that tells you a lot about the direction the section is going in. The unnamed Ringmaster Mouse who sits beside Gunther on his own matching podium. He holds a tiny trumpet and I assume controlled the arrival of the other 2 mice. These 2 mice being the unnamed Banjo Mouse was hidden in Gunther's podium and emerged through a hidden door. And then the second is the unnamed Dancing Mouse, who was hidden in the unnamed Ringmaster Mouse's podium. I like that he's just vibing. Looking closer, he's dressed a bit like a clown, so maybe these 2 mice were a comedy skit duo of some kind? Perhaps? Maybe?
Hey, it's Editing Raya. It has been such a long time. For the last 20 years that Circus Towne's community has been active online, no one's ever been able to answer animatronic enthusiasts' questions when it comes to anything about the animatronics. That is, until I started editing this video. 20 years. If I waited 2 more weeks, I wouldn't have had to film and edit. So, that's what this is. This is going to be the most up-to-date video until, tomorrow when more stuff drops. And that's fine, because that's kind of the point of the series, I suppose. Let's stay on topic. Basically, over 5 months ago, somebody asked once again in the community, hey, what were the animatronics names? And usually this is met with nothing or Phil just putting a picture of the animatronics and not answering the question because he doesn't know. And while I've been editing this video on Circus Towne Pizza, someone decided to answer the question. It's not a complete answer, but yeah, someone who's been posting in the Circus Towne community for over 15 years has finally just answered the question this week. Why now? And while I can't confirm one person's memories, I'm still gonna let you know, because it's literally the best we've got. So this person said that the three mice's names were Marvin, Pip, and Squeak. I'd assume that the ringmaster's name was Marvin, and then the duo would have been Pip and Squeak, because that just makes sense to me. Of course, we won't know which one is Pip and Squeak, and we don't even know if this is correct or remembered correctly, but it is something to keep in mind for the future of this animatronic show. So again, this isn't confirmed, and I'll be back in 1 minute. Maybe 2. I'll be back. You better count on it. Back in a minute.
Okay, I put them way too close together. Their name tags don't fit. And we're not gonna fix it. Chaotic. Like everything in the world. Going on to stage right, we first have the drummer dog. I know I wrote unknown. I wrote unknown for all of these characters, and in my notes it says unnamed. I guess he's unknown. I mean, I know of him though.
Last one, okay? So, the same source said that the drummer dog's name was Bones. How original. Anyway, the rest of the video should be up to date now, so editing Raya, out.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in the ring game. Ooh. Unknown, unnamed drum dog. You like that? Better get used to it. His face is a bit dopey, surrounded by a fun blue ensemble and an enormous bow tie. I feel like the name of the band should be on his drum set. That's a pretty normal thing to do, right? But when you look, it's empty. There's nothing there, which is why I've been calling the show the Circus Towne Pizza Band. They may have had an actual name. They could have been called, like, Gunther's Circus Friends or something. It probably was just like Circus Towne. So just keep in mind they could have a collective name. I just don't know. I don't know. His podium is different than the other boxes, instead with a disco mirror pattern that I really like. Next in the middle right here, we have the unknown, unnamed rabbit guitarist. She's in a swing, which means she's a girl. I've never seen a man in a swing. Never. My investigative nuance has no bounds. In all seriousness, a lot of animatronic ladies appear in swings because of Country Bear Jamboree influence with Teddy Bear. That's where I put a Teddy Bear clip in every episode. I'm always looking at the same clips. The rabbit's also wearing pink, and it is the 1980s. So, the girl, she's playing the electric guitar and was confirmed to have a walk-around costume that Phil's daughter remembers wearing on occasion. Like all the other characters, I wish there was more I could say about her. A girl. Next we have the unnamed bass dog. Unknown, unnamed bass dog. His bass is not touching the ground. He's holding it up by the neck and playing it like that. Incredible. Amazing. A form I've never seen before. You can see his platform is on wheels, implying he could be hidden and brought out onto the main stage. Though I'm skeptical on how well hidden he was, since I can't see a curtain that would cover the door frame. It's possible he went into his little nook and the light turned off, and then you just can still see him? Oh wait, no. Okay. So there's a photo showing a curtain that would have hidden this character. Very nice, very nice. Nice, very nice. Next we have the unknown, unnamed Doghead, which is my favorite name so far. Doghead. He is a doghead. Doghead in a box. It looks like he was hidden for the majority of the show and would pop out, similar to Rockefire's Choo Choo. Unlike Choo Choo, Doghead has a mechanical mouth, implying actual character. I didn't mean to throw that shade on Choo Choo. It just kind of happened. I don't even like that guy. I'm just trying to say that Doghead likely had dialogue and interacted with the band. No arms, no body, just Doghead. And lastly, on stage left, we have Barney the Fire Dog. I bet you thought I didn't know another name. Oh, yeah. Fire Dog Barney the. Fire Dog Barney the. Well, I taped this backwards. It's like 2 slips of paper that I had to tape together this morning, but I was in a meeting, so I wasn't really paying attention, and I accidentally taped them backwards. So instead of Barney the Fire Dog, it says Fire Dog Barney the. No, it's too late. We're just gonna leave it. Alright. I put a little comma there. Now it technically says the Fire Dog Barney. That's some big thinking right there. This is likely where Edward D. Hilbert's possible work may have become confused with Captain Andy's River Town, another animatronic band that features a fire dog. Barney was the only animatronic featured on stage left, sitting on a fire engine completed by a ladder. The engine itself could roll back and forth on tracks and most likely be hidden in the nook, the same as the unnamed bass dog on the other side. I'm actually very impressed with the 5 hidden characters. I love when animatronic shows can build on each other and they don't just have all the characters out at once. So Doghead, the 2 mice, the bass dog, and Barney can all be brought onto the stage and taken off, which can lead to different dynamics in the group. It adds a little oomph to the stage show for audience members to be introduced to new characters as the show goes on. The stage that all 9 characters sat on was black with no backdrop. Yellow rope ladders and trapezes hung around the characters quite randomly, with cutouts being featured on both sides of the set. It looks incomplete. It looks bad. I'm being too nice. It doesn't look good. Small elements like the drum set being empty says a lot about the design budget. For example, to hide the unnamed guitar rabbit's swing mechanism, they just drop a little curtain a little lower than the main one. They probably just had a really tight budget and they put it all in the animatronics, and then when it came to the actual stage show, they were like, black backdrop with cardboard cutouts, lights, and yellow rope everywhere. It's just like a circus. Of course, there are no currently found show tapes or recordings of Circus Towne pizza that we know of. And it's a shame. I want to know more. I want to know more about these characters' dynamics and their voices and their bits. Though, if this is a unique design production, and that's a big if this is a unique design show, like I'm theorizing, Edward D. Hilbert would have had a recording of it. Edward recorded his first animatronic show, The Chicken Little Trio, which is also lost media, on a VHS tape. This seems like something he did for sentimental value, but I also do believe he does this in order to show his future clients that he can make animatronic shows. So it is possible, at completion, if Edward D. Hilbert did make Circus Towne pizza, he would have recorded the show on a VHS tape, and it's hopefully not destroyed. But yeah, that's pretty much all we know about these animatronics. And good golly, it's not much. I'm sure more media will resurface one day. It's just not Gunther's time to shine yet. But soon, Gunther. Soon. The town of Drexel Hill had this establishment as their local hangout, and it shows in the many people who remember it very fondly. Every week in the night hours, it would host Friday dances for local tweens and teens, leading to many misadventures, I'm sure. To differentiate itself from Circus Towne Pizza, where you would, be there during the daytime, this nightlife version was called Circulations. I'm not sure if that name stuck. I'm sure people just called it Circus Towne. Circus Towne Pizza by day, Circulations by night. The location also hosted local metal bands. Look at this photo. Is this not the greatest thing you have seen all week? If this were me, I would hang it up in my house. It is so good. This photo is also a really great size comparison. Just look how enormous these animatronics are compared to a full-grown adult. Gunther is sitting in the back, and he still looks huge. Gunther looks so big, and you wouldn't expect him to be that big, but he looks big. Not as big as Rolly Bear, but he's still pretty big. The Rolly Bear video, I love it so much. Because we're talking about the end of Circus Towne Pizza, I suppose I should tell you why it closed. The most common guess I could give is establishments like this just kind of ran their course. It was Circus Towne Pizza's time to die. Circus Towne was open until at least 1989, not making it into the 90s. A 6-year run is nothing to scoff at. That's actually pretty good. Even though it feels like we don't have, a lot of information about the animatronic show, Circus Towne Pizza was one of a kind. It's amazing that we have any of this information on it at all. And it's all thanks to the people who went there and loved it and have such a nostalgic attachment to their memories here. And it's beautiful. So what happened to the animatronics? Well, they don't seem to have been auctioned off or stored away. I'm very certain these poor creatures were thrown out because nobody wanted animatronics in 1989, alright? Phil seems unsure himself about the animatronics' fate, and perhaps a bit regretful about what most likely happened to them, likely due to the fact that these things would be so much money nowadays. They are a one-of-a-kind set, likely unique designs. I only know one animatronic from Unique Designs that is still around to this day. That's already pretty amazing. A one-of-a-kind set, easily thousands of dollars, even in the worst possible condition. They be gone. R.I.P. Gunther. This is the end, friend. I almost scrapped this video 3 times! 3 times! I've only ever scrapped one episode of Animatronic Retrospective before, and it's because I could not find a single scrap of nothing and nobody, and it was driving me crazy. I remember, I was researching it at night, and then, oh look, the sun's coming up! That's how you know. That's how you know you can't do an episode on it. The sun's coming up? Go to bed! I pushed for this episode because sometimes we don't know everything. And it reminded me a lot of my first episode, which was about Captain Andy's River Town, which at the time, there was so much I didn't know, and there was so much that wasn't discovered yet. And we've come such a long way on that one, and I hope Circus Towne Pizza will be the same. It is a little different because Circus Towne Pizza's a locally owned one type deal, and Captain Andy's River Town was a whole franchise. We don't have to know all the answers to enjoy a good old animatronic show. At least I don't. The mystery is part of the fun. Gunther is a circus cat, so that's all I need. I'm Raya. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and until next time where I live inside your devices. Toodles! Toodles.